Hello, everybody. Welcome back to It's All Scripted. My name is Chris Jordan.
My name is still Harrison Baxley.
And I am also Mason Cooper.
And this is a Reader's Theater podcast where we have actors read original 10-minute plays every week.
Ski yee.
This week's play is called Shakespeare Opens Fan Mail, written by myself, Harrison Baxley.
Hey, Harrison, what's that about?
I'm glad you asked. Shakespeare Opens Fan Mail is set in 1599, and it's pretty much what the title says. It is William Shakespeare opening letters from his fans, asking him questions about his recent play, Romeo and Juliet. And it's kind of like he's got his own YouTube channel, and he's kind of reading them out loud and then explaining it to the audience what his answers are. And they're pretty much all about his latest play, Romeo and Juliet, but he hasn't written anything since, and some people are kind of getting a little antsy about when he's going to put out something new. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the setting, and that's really all you need to know. This play has been in my repertoire for about
repertoire.
Yeah.
Hey, vocabulary, guys.
Thank you.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Can I get a definition, please?
I think I wrote it around this time last year, and it's just kind of been sitting on my computer. In the future, if you listen to our first podcast, which you should, you will know that we're going to have essentially 3 weeks apiece to write our script. Yeah. This script took me about a month, and you can kind of tell with the dialogue. So don't expect this much planning to go into it.
Yeah, and if you
don't expect anything to be
don't assume anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you assume, well, you know what happens.
It's a PG version.
But before we get into, you're going to talk with the guy who plays Shakespeare. But before we get in that, let's just remind people for this podcast, because we're about to, we're using Harrison and Mason's old scripts right now, but we're about to start writing stuff. So if you have any suggestions, you explain it. You're better explaining this.
Can I try to explain?
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, hop in.
All right, guys. Hey, it's me again. So if you guys have any suggestions, or you got a catchphrase, you like bazinga or something weird, I don't know, and you wanna hear something come out of one of these plays, I want you to leave a comment down below or send us an email. We have an email in our description. I want you to give us like a theme you want us to work with. You want to give us a character you want us to put in our show. Give us a character. Give us literally anything you want us to work with, and we will incorporate that into our show.
If you tell us to write a show about the word bazinga,
the name of the show will be called Bazinga, It's On. So let us know, guys.
and there will be plenty of zings.
Well, now we have to write that. Even if nobody suggests that, we have to write
idea. But yeah, email us at itsallscripted.suggestions@gmail.com.
And that's going to be in the description below.
Yes, and you can also Facebook us or
YouTube, wherever we are. Yes. Leave a comment. We'll see it. We have nothing better to do than to take your suggestions, and we appreciate that. So let's segue into Harrison and
Jeff Keith Floyd as Shakespeare. All right, guys, this is Jeff Keith Floyd. I've brought him in to read for the part of Shakespeare in Shakespeare Opens Fan Mail. We're really excited about that. Now, Jeff, this is not your first time reading the script. You've actually been reading this since it was in its creative process, right?
Absolutely, yes. And I am very happy to have been with the script as long as I have been, because I think it's great material and I absolutely love reading it.
Thank you. I always kind of pictured you as Shakespeare. You just had like the right voice for it and stuff. So as I was writing it, it was easier to picture you performing it than try to like make up this character of Shakespeare and his stage presence. So it was a lot easier to write for you. So I'm really grateful that you've always been around to read for it, and I'm really glad that it's finally got a home here on It's All Scripted.
As am I. I'm glad that it finally found a venue.
Yeah.
Because I've always been more than willing to perform this, and I'm glad that we found something to do it on.
And now this isn't even your first time with It's All Scripted. You were on last week, right, with Kerrigan and Foxwood?
Yes, I was. I played the police chief.
Yeah. What I like about that role is that you sound nothing like you. And then in this, you also have an accent. So our listeners are not going to know the difference between the police chief and Shakespeare and you.
You could tell them I was 3 different people.
Yeah. That was really impressive. I really liked that. That's one of my favorite things about these shows in particular. So what else have you been doing besides It's All Scripted?
Well, recently I've been working with a local theater company here in the Panama City area called Nine Muses Theater, which is a few local thespians who just want to get together and do some good quality theater. The last project that we worked together on was None of the Above, and I helped direct that as well as this next project that's coming up where I'm actually going to be acting, which is kind of, my bread and butter, in this show called The Explorers Club.
So that's Jeff Keith Floyd, and this is him as Shakespeare in Shakespeare Opens Fan Mail.
King Henry, Parts 1, 2, and 3. Gentlemen of Verona, The Rape of Lucrece, The Comedy of Errors, Venus and Adonis, Taming of the Shrew, and Titus Andronicus. Yes, it is I, Shakespeare is in your presence, the writers of dramas for kings, queens, and peasants. That's right, I'm the famous playwright, the man with the skill on the quill, Shakespeare, Will. Writing shows for kings and queens, damn they love to see my scenes. But hey, let's not forget the reason we're here, to discuss my latest hit, the tragical love story of Romeo and Juliet. You see, fans kept coming to me and asking me questions, until one day I was given a suggestion to host a Q&A styled show and answer all those questions the fans want to know. Now that I've got all these letters to attend, the first question is, where do I begin? Is Romeo and Juliet based off a true story? Kind of. Art does imitate life in a very simple way. I compiled what I saw and wrote it in a play. This show is not based off of one lover's instance. It's about every couple with strife and persistence. Whether it's parents or exes or distance, they all face some type of resistance. That's why I wrote Rosalind and Romeo, to make Romeo's love for Juliet more important in the show. Because about Rosalind he would soon forget once he finally lays his eyes on young Juliet. So no, it's not based on one lover's story, it's every lover whose relationship ever caused them worry. Why do all of your plays rhyme? My plays rhyme? No, I guess they do. Well, I guess when a play is in the public domain, the show is not about what the people are saying. The show will be done so many times, people will hardly even notice the rhymes. It's more about the acting, the performance, the show. It tells the audience exactly what they need to know. Of course, it also gives the show purpose, for a play to be written with rhymes and verses. I also want to make it different from a show that's improvised. It's a script that has been written, edited, and revised. The actors can't just make it up as they go. It's something to watch. Yes, it drives the show. But the most important reason my shows rhyme, it's not to be flashy, showy, or empower a line. It's because the best way to capture a story's beauty and diameter is by writing it in iambic pentameter. Some people are saying Romeo and Juliet is the first and last big thing you'll write. How do you respond to those people saying you are just a one-hit wonder? I know my fans are waiting for something new. I guess the truth is I'm still waiting too. If Romeo and Juliet had eloped and survived, would their love have lasted? Was it really sustainable, or were they just impassioned because it was forbidden? I've never doubted that their love would last. Romeo and Juliet may have fallen fast, but love like theirs isn't common. Love like theirs you don't see often. It was love at first sight, but so strong and so pure, both had to fight, and then they fought more. They may have been pushed by the fear of loss, but they knew what they were doing and considered the costs. From the moment they met, they fit like a glove. When love got rough, they got rough with love. It may have seemed like a rash decision, but I think they both had a similar vision. Maybe they knew they would never be together. Maybe they chose to be together forever. For this I knew, so that take those that I penned. These violent delights have violent ends. Your father and I loved your little skit. Love, Mom. P.S. Right back soon. Okay, let's just move to the next question, okay? Did you actually write Romeo and Juliet? There are rumors that you're just a figurehead for other writers. Some say you represent a group of writers. Others claim yours is a pseudonym for Christopher Marlowe. Some are born great. Some achieve greatness. And others have greatness thrust upon them. Haven't you ever studied linguistics? Check my credibility within the statistics. If you counted and made connections, you would find just how predictably I choose my next line. Hearing such rumors always makes me smile. The truth is, no one could ever match my style. Would you have me false to my nature? Rather say I play the man I am? Sure, I've partnered with Bacon, Oxford, and Marlowe, but stealing their work? I'd never stoop so low. My work is original and always new. To thine own self, I'll forever be true. Dear Shakespeare, do the tragic events of the drama as of human life frequently result from mistakes, negligence, unforeseen or uncontrollable events? Sincerely, my AP Literature paper, which is due tomorrow. Look, I'm sure your paper needs to be long-lasting, but I'm afraid I have no idea what you're asking. If you want my suggestion, I would simply ignore that question. What does that question have to do with my show? How could you answer that if Shakespeare doesn't even know? When I wrote it, I was thinking about the story. Representing negligence wasn't part of my worry. Give your teacher a message from Will. Dear AP Literature teacher, chill. Why are your plays in the public domain? Why share them if they aren't published yet? Aren't you worried someone will steal them? Steal them? I should hope so. If someone tried stealing it, everyone would know. My play is not famous because of my name. My play is what brought me all of my fame. If someone steals a quote, they'll know it was from me, because no one writes the way I write poetry. Referencing my work only helps mine grow. It doesn't hurt me if it brings attention to my show. If they steal an idea, I still don't have to worry. Maybe they'll come up with an even better story. Star-crossed lovers can be written 1,000 ways. Why should it be chained to just one play? What is your love life like compared to your characters? Has your writing ever reflected your life experiences? How could I write about love without knowing it? I've always loved and had no trouble showing it. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Yes, that was about my Anne Hathaway. She was 8 years older, but beauty doth varnish age. Every line is about her, every sonnet to hit the page. But don't think our love didn't find trouble too, for the course of true love never did run smooth. Our love was simple and grew with ease. We had just 3 kids and we were pleased. But just last year our son turned ill. Hamnet 11, so cold and so still. It was too much for Anne and me to bear. Then love devouring death do what he dare. Why do the Montagues and Capulets hate each other in the first place? This is a great question. See, although I did my best, this was always a question I couldn't quite address. Why these two families loathed each other so, there wasn't a time or place to fit in the show. You see, conflict can range from religion to sports, from sex to politics or violence of sorts. This fight started small and only grew, beginning with the first Capulet and Montague. See, their fight wasn't on death or lust or a bond broken in each other's trust. The truth is, I never wrote a problem into it because the characters never actually knew it. I assumed the fight started quite small, and it grew and grew until they couldn't remember at all. The dispute was small, yes, this I know, but mountains are molehills, and grudges grow. How come no one knows anything about you before you started acting and writing? It seems like you just appeared here the minute you turned 18. Well, my childhood might be a little vague, because everyone who knew me was swept out by the plague. How I made it to adulthood is a mystery, and memory of my life is lost in history. Otherwise, nothing really happened while I was at home, so I'm not surprised that it isn't well known. I did what any other kid would do. I did my chores, I went to school, and did at least till I was 13 years old. Then my father pulled me out to make gloves in the cold. I never got to go on vacation, and I never got to have a higher education. These facts may seem like details of strife, but the only way to really learn about my life is not to take notes or study my ways, but to look at my work, read my plays. Now we're almost finished. You're tired, I'm sure, but I think we have time for just one more. Huh. They spelled Toby a little weird. Why? They spelled it T-O-B-I. Dear Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet is not poetic. In fact, it's actually practically pathetic. What would push you to write such a horrible script? To make an audience watch a play they should have skipped? I assume it's a tribute to your crippling mental health, or else it's a scam to fill your pockets with wealth. It must be the former, because there is no way anyone in their right mind would pay to see that sorry excuse for a play. And if it is caused by your mental state, maybe you and Romeo will have a similar fate. Do you think it's noble to suffer through a terrible life? Through slings and arrows and endless strife? You set arms against your trouble by giving them to us, when you could just end them by giving up. Give up, Shakespeare. Your play was a mess. You could end it all and forget all that stress. You sit at your desk for hours, begging for a sign, debating on the next line. Despite all that work, you still haven't got that writer's skill. You're not quick, Will. You're just a dick with a quill. You may certainly think with this play you brought the thunder, but in reality, you're just a one-hit wonder. Signed, Toby. Look, Toby or not Toby, that's your question. Whether it's nobler in my mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes, or to set arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing in them, to die, to sleep no more, and by sleep to say I end the heartache and thousand natural shocks my flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come once I've shuffled off this mortal coil must give me pause. That's the calamity of so long life. Hey, that gives me an idea.
So this has been Shakespeare Opens Fan Mail by myself, Harrison Baxley. I want to give another special thank you to Jeff Keith Floyd for reading that again. He did a fantastic job.
Phenomenal job.
And if you thought so, you should let us know in the comments. I'm sure he'll be really flattered. And if you don't think so, keep it to yourself.
If you guys want to know a fun fact, he's actually not British.
Yeah.
He's not. Fake accent.
But for real, please don't hurt our feelings.
Yeah, no, there's going to be a running theme along this podcast of, like, we just don't like negativity. Posy vibes everywhere. I mean, if you are criticizing in a way that can actually benefit us, then, I mean, I'll take it. I don't know about you guys. But if you're like, you suck, don't do this anymore, keep it to yourself.
Even if you're the honest friend, just don't be. Just for, like, right now.
Stop being it.
Just don't do it, please.
This is Posy vibes, no neggy vibes. Stay out of here.
So before we go, we one more time want to remind you to hit us with some suggestions on our email, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Basically, whatever suggestion you comment on this video will be the theme that we use for the play 3 weeks from now, which I will write again. So
if you comment down below Cat's Pajamas, there's going to be a play down the road called The Cat's Pajamas.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. You suggest it, we write it, you love it, and then we get skill because we're enhancing our abilities.
that's all we're doing. We're just practicing. We're just getting good practice.
Honestly, I had no idea where I was going with that, but I went there.
I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. It is.
See, sometimes it's not all scripted.
It's not all scripted. Some of it's improvised.
So we need to change the podcast name.
It's a little scripted.
Somewhat.
Welcome back to It's a Little Scripted.
And finally, we just want to say thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you lending your ears. If you've listened to this podcast and last week's episode, like it's just you're awesome. Honestly, you're great. Keep it up, and you'll be amazing next week. So that's something to look forward to. But other than that, tune in next week for another hopefully great episode of It's All Scripted. You're supposed to say it with
It's
us.
not my fault.
Mason.
It's
We planned this.
Oh. Do you know what time it is right now?
What time is it?
Harrison, looks like it's
do
time
it.
for you guys to smash that motherfreaking
Smash
like
that
button.
like button.
If you guys are liking what you're listening to, smash the like button. If you guys want to hear more, subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can get some little alerts when we post something. And you know what? You guys can share this to your Facebook, share it to your aunt, your cousin, your
Smash
uncle,
that like
anything.
button on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Like it
whatever
everywhere you
else
see
this
it.
is on.
Share it everywhere you want it.
Just smash
regret-
the like button.
Smash that like button. guys.
I regret doing a podcast with you two.